Hey, hey, hey. Hope everybody's doing good. Carl Bryan coming at you. My boy Patrick Bell. Patrick, are you there, bud?
Here. Hey, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. It's a new week.
You bet. You bet. All right. So we'll tell you what, I think we should open up a couple lines. So let's make sure. Hang on. Leave. Hang on. I'm getting asked to leave the webinar. I don't think that's not the option I wanted. All right. Who are we going to say hi to? Let's go to Joe. Go to our boy, John Kosar. John Kosar. Oh. Pete. John Kosar, are you there, buddy? Hey, you're live.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
What's happening, John?
I'm just living somebody's dream, Carl.
Are you? That's good to hear. Make us jealous. What does that consist of? What's the dream look like?
I just can't wait to wake the guy up once I find out who it is whose dream I'm living.
There we go. High five, man. What else is going on? Tell us about business. What do you got cooking this week?
Well, it's interesting. On Friday, last Friday, I had a call with a CFO from a digital marketing company. And they had actually reached out to me to provide them with, referrals. So quick conversation, and now I'm going to meet up with them again this Friday in a, potential, I'm going to be working the joint venture partnership. And this one just kind of came out of the blue. And so
I love it.
I like the timing of everything, especially with you guys, coming out with the digital acceleration. Just in the phone conversation I had with him, he was kind of getting worried that maybe I'd be making recommendations to his clients because I talked about just doing a joint venture, and I said, no, I'm not going to ask him to leave you. I'm going to ask him to spend more money with you. So
yeah. That's a good answer, by the way.
Fingers crossed on this one because it sounds really, really promising.
Yeah. Actually, John, if I can just say, I want everybody, make sure everybody heard the power of that. The difference, right, is like you always got to enter the conversation going on inside their head. You got to pour gasoline on what they're doing. So again, when I speak to the accountant, I think to myself, what's the problem that they face? And then I solve it, right? I go to the advertising medium, the newspaper, the magazine, the radio. In this case, it's the digital marketer, and he wants his clients to be spending more and to be sticking around for longer, right? So that's what you basically told them you're going to do. Bingo, bango, bongo. So love it. Love it. So there you go. Well, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Okay, and you can see it, no doubt. I can see Pat's screen, so you can see it, correct?
I can see it perfectly.
You beauty. Okay, man, I'm going to put you back on mute. And by the way, guys, so we are here for Q&A. This is not a training call. This is a Q&A call. So you guys got to pipe up, and we need some questions in and around the software. So if you got a question, either raise your hand or chuck a question. Just chuck your question in the box below. I'm going to open up Una Doyle. Una is, I think, our current. Una, I'm coming for you. You are self-muted. You got to unmute yourself so we can say hello. Here she is. Una, how's it going?
Hello. How are you doing?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. I don't have a particular question right now.
That's okay. But you are the current. Are you not the current LPW Coach of the Week? Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Good job. High five. So tell us, what do you got cooking? Inspire everybody. You got lots of coaches listening to you. What do you got? What's Una got cooking?
Do you remember I asked a question a few weeks ago about the person with the ladies networking groups?
Yeah. Oh, yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a follow-up. I did the PAS session with her, and then I had a follow-up with her yesterday and discussed possibly joint venturing. So she's gone away to have a think and speak to her franchisees. So possibility there. We'll see. But she did go away realizing that, she hadn't been treating the business like a business, and she made the decision that she was going to. So, yeah. so we'll see what happens there. And then, yeah, just I've got 4, well, I'm calling them 50K sessions for what I'm doing. So I've got 4 this week. And then I've got some more next week. So I'm going to start doing some more of those. From the sessions I've had so far, I'm actually still in talks with the first client that Gerard was talking about. So we're just sorting out the details. There was some issues came up around the finances, but we're sorting it out. They are going to be doing something. We're just working out the details of that. And then I've also signed up another client. So this is someone who had been in a group program with me that had come to an end. And so they've now signed up to do one-to-one. I've brought them in on an escalating amount. And a 15% above a certain amount of revenue. Because some of the clients that I've had, they're kind of at the smaller end of the market. So I think that'll work out to be quite lucrative. There's a lot of potential in both businesses. So yeah.
I love it. High five. The networking group, this is a joint venture that you're working on with them? Is that correct?
This is for me to do the membership with them. So rather than it being, they're probably going to take a hybrid model, right, because they do a pay-as-you-go membership, pay-as-you-go networking. So I was talking about them packaging it up and having a premium membership. Yeah. So they're looking at that. So I don't know what percentage of take-up will be, and I just thought rather than so we'll kind of I want to have it so that the membership is paid for, like my e-learning platform is paid for, even if it's a small amount per person, and they package that in with some other stuff and some events and things like that, and then I would introductory road mapping call with everybody.
Cool. Okay, you and I chatted about that the other week. Did we not? How they were doing month to month, and I said they're nuts, right? That's correct. Yeah. So you've gone to them. So now what you'd probably, to go back to their existing clients and say, hey, we changed our mind. We're no longer month to month. We're doing this annually. That's not going to get that's not going to be a huge take up. Okay.
No, she's going to do. She's talking about doing, still allowing people to do the pay-as-you-go, but then having a premium package.
Yeah, which is, okay. I would encourage her, because my guess is that she's not, that strong on sales. You give people 2 options, and if you give them the option of taking, the X over 12 months. Or taking month to month, they're still going to take the month to month, right? So she's got to not present that as an option and then use it as a downsell. Make sense?
Right. Yeah.
You follow me?
Coming along.
Yeah. Like, let's just say you're closing me, and then you just put 2 options out. Like, Carl, which one do you want, A or B? Look, I'm going to take the month to month one. It's a 101, right? And the other thing I think that we talked about that's very important is she needs to have what we'd refer to as an offer stack, just like all of us need to have and everybody needs to have. So when she goes to close them, and let's just say it's, it's 1,500, where are you? You're in the UK?
I'm in the northwest of the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, so it's X pound, it's 1,500 pounds for the 12 months. And then for 1,500, here's what you get. And it's like bang, 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 and it's an offer stack of 5 different things. You get, weekly networking. You're going to get mentioned on the website. Una is going to provide you a membership site, right, for 12 months. Her online business. Hopefully, you find your way into her offer stack. But that's going to allow them to sell significantly more of those quote unquote platinum packages is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she's going away to have a look at, and I've offered to help with that as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's good. But you're, like I said, you're really helping her because you help her put that in place. It's It's a total game changer. So good stuff. Cool bananas.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You bet. Appreciate you. And guys, we need some questions here as well. So if you got a question, you need to either raise your hand or plunk it in the box. Mark has got a question, so we're coming for him. Yo, Mark, you're self-muted, my friend. There he is. Mark, you're live.
Greetings from 72 degrees light offshore breeze, San Diego, California. Thank you.
Pat, should we hang up on him or what? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
February, I'll be complaining I had to wear a windbreaker to walk the dog.
Yeah, we know.
So
What's
I have
happening?
more of
What do you got for us?
a strategy question today. So kind of what I've been doing is kind of guaranteeing people I'll find them between 50 to 100 grand. I'm making it kind of a little range. And for probably 90% of the folks I start with market dominating position, cut costs, and increase prices. Kind of the thinking is hopefully I can get them some small wins quickly and relatively easy to implement.
Yep.
What I'm finding is if I try to do all, 11, 12 of them, it seems like there's this overwhelm level that they get. And so I was wondering, based on your experience, is there like a sweet spot, like 3 to 5, 7 to 10? What would your coaching and strategy be overall?
Pat, I'm going to let you go first, buddy, and then I'll happily chime in.
Well, when you're trying to close a sale, aim for 3 or 4. Do what it takes to get 3 or 4 areas of breakthrough. And I think 3 is normally fine. It depends on the size of the business. And you know what? I think what we could do, maybe for everyone's sake here, Carl, is we'll just set up a new one. And I'll walk people through how quick this is. So I'm going to set up a company and I'm going to run a profit jump start, and we'll use dollars. I use Australian dollars because it's the same dollar sign. And we'll call this a jump start you want to name it well so you can find it. October 20. So that's how I would name it there. We're going to go find it. We're going to click on it. I'll run the financials, and let's say it's a $1 million business. And we just put in the standard 20% net profit margin, 50% gross profit margin, and they are in the accounting services industry. So I'd start with that. Now let's go into, you can do valuation if you like, or you can come back and do it later. If we do it now, then you can see these charts go live. So maybe we'll just do that and show people what happens. I had a question about this actually today, and someone was wondering why the numbers weren't showing well. And so just a little training around this. Over the past 3 years, has your revenue been steady or growing or declining? Add or subtract the percentage of growth or decline for 100%. It's a bit confusing. I wish I could find a better way to articulate this. But if you're growing at 10%, don't put 10. You want to put 110. Because if you're steady, it'll be 100. And if you're growing at 10%, just put 110. We might have to redo this question to make it clearer. Let's say the industry is a steady state, so we're gonna have 100. We sell all the inventory and assets, we'll get 250,000. Do we have financials prepared by an accountant? No, we've got some. Let's say, we're a $1 million company, we've got some. If you have one customer accounts for at least 15%, yes. That's gonna lower your valuation because it's a bit of a risk there. Are a large extent of all your systems, processes, policies, and procedures in place? No. Well, that's going to devalue a little bit. Are your marketing and sales process documented so sales are predictable? No. Is it scalable? Yeah, we can scale it. Large percentage recurring revenues? No. And then it's been valued, let's say, at $1 million. That comes as a default according to the revenue you put in. So your revenue was $1 million, and so that It just defaults at $1 million, but maybe it's been valued at like say 750,000. So we click submit. So now these charts come live. So then I'd go into say market dominating position is a great one to start. You're going to go through, you answer the questions here, you take your notes throughout there, and then you might find a 3% here. So you put in 3. And you might put in another 2%. So you're going to have 5%. Oh, yeah, there we go. Submit. So we look at a $50,000 impact. And so if you're promising them 50,000 to 100,000 of additional revenue, you've got it right there. I mean, you don't have to go any further. You're done. You can be done. What I do is go back into some others. Now, some easy ones to find a impact in our increased prices, cut costs. You might, as a strategy, you might leave these for later. Carl and I were talking about this maybe a month ago, and because in that first meeting with them, you want to find an impact right away. So if you're already finding your impacts in other areas, you might leave this later, because in your first area maybe you're trying to promise them a certain impact in that first day of coaching. You might come in here to increase prices and find it there. I'll do it today. So for this assessment here. So tell me about your pricing strategy. You got some questions. If we could create a perception of higher value and communicate it to your customers in such a way they understand and accept the value, by what % could you raise your prices? So if they're selling something for 97 bucks, you could have them raise it 3%. You're going to be at 99, 9 or whatever. So let's just put 3%. So now we've got this $30,000 impact here. How many customers do you have? You want to fill that out. So they've got maybe 1,000 customers, give or take. Raise it by 3%, they're going to lose maybe 10. Well, they could lose 130 and still maintain the same net profits. This happens by default. Do you think that'll happen? No, we just found a breakthrough. Go to charts, and it gives your numbers here and explains it, how you get the number. So if we submit that again, you go up to the top here, you're now 81,000. So again, you could stop after 2 areas if it takes you a while to get here. You're not going to fly through it this quick, but you found a couple areas. You could go and get another one. You found, $100,000 of additional revenue, and then you go to the close and you close them. So I wouldn't keep hunting for 3, 4, 5 areas or 5 or 6 areas if you just do 3 areas and you find them a big chunk like this. So then you say, hey, Joe, we just spent half an hour together. We just found you $81,000 of additional revenue in just 2 areas. Imagine if we do a full assessment and a deep dive on your business over 40 different areas. Imagine the impact we're going to find. And they're going to say, well, what does that cost? Or how do you get that? And you go, well, it's only $3,000. It's going to take us, good part of a day, or it's going to take us 4 2-hour sessions, or however you want to do that. And then you go and find them the impacts in the deep dive in the Breakthrough 40. So that's when you start going through all the areas in more detail. So Carl, I'll pass it to you, and you'll probably have a bunch to add as well.
No, and that was super helpful, by the way. And as a bit of a framework, so if you take a 3% increase and you put it in all 12 areas, you'll get 121% increase. This is an FYI. So why is that important? Like if you meet somebody and they did $100,000 in gross revenues, then you just, you got to get them to roughly 3% in all the areas, or you got to go to 6 areas and do 6. And imagine that's going to be 121 as well, right? But
yep.
As a little bit of a framework, that's where you're, So that's a little bit of a frame, because remember, you came in telling them you're going to find them, Una just said a minute ago, she does 50 grand. Mark, you might be doing 100 grand. So that now you know where you're, you know what I mean? Like you've got a little bit of a framework in your head in terms of what you've got to do. Mark, one thing I would not so much challenge you on, but encourage you to think about, and everybody else listening, like you mentioned, what did you say? Market dominating position, cut costs, and raise prices. Is that right? Were those your three, Mark?
Yes, those were the three.
Yep. Okay, so with each of them, I'd tell you to come up with a story. Because remember, people, they remember the stories and they learn off stories. So let's just go market dominating position. What's the story that I would use? You just use whichever one you want. But I would go market dominating position and say, let me give you an example, right? So we've got, let's just say that you were a daycare. And again, assume they're not a daycare, and that makes the story way better. If it's a daycare, don't use a daycare. I wouldn't use a daycare example. So I'd say, basically the hot button, when I ask that, line up 100 daycares and I say, what's the hot button of the people who buy from you? They will say location, 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 because mom's only willing to drive so far in the morning because she's on her way to work. And then what happened is we surveyed, 100 of her ideal clients who were 35 years old, 2 kids under the age of 5. And what we found is that their major hot button was accountability times 10, right? So imagine this. Again, and explain difference between unique selling proposition and market dominating position, right? Which actually solves a problem, like the conversation in their head. So what we did with the daycare is we implemented a web watch. So just imagine Lucy, right? Lucy's in front of you. So imagine Lucy, like if we both had daycares and your daycare had a web watch where the parents could log on the internet, watch the kids, make sure they're safe, having fun. And then at my daycare, there was no web watch. Where would you personally take your kids? And she's going to go, oh my gosh, the one with, like, I guarantee you, she's going to say the one with the daycare, and make her answer, right? And it's like, okay, that's an example. That's what we're going to help, create for you. And of course, she's thinking, oh my gosh. And then you say something to the effect of, I've got a really good idea as to exactly what we're going to create for you. There's a little bit of homework and some bricks that we need to put one on top of the other before we can go and build that roof, but we're going to be ready to go. So now I ask her the market dominating positions and she gives you the number, right? And then she says 20 and you go, look, let's water it down and put 3, 4, 5. You go 5. So now I would go to cross sell, right? And my story for that is, you ever been to the place called McDonald's? When you order a burger and a Coke, what does the 16-year-old say to you? And she's going to say, do you want fries with that? I'm going to say, exactly. So we were working with a lawyer, we'd say, do you want a will with that? So we're going to create the same thing with and for you. And again, I get a really good idea as to exactly what your cross sell is going to be. I don't tell her what it's going to be. Remember, I'm trying to make her curious as hell. So she'll whip out her credit card. I tell her my idea around cross sell. I tell her that we're going to create that. We go through the question. She tells me 20 and I go, no, let's water that one down too and put 5. And then I go to the next one. But you see what I did, Mark, is I threw a story in with each of them, as opposed to, and it's an example, it's a story, it's a metaphor, all built into one, right? So do you see how that would help?
That would help immensely.
Yeah. So that's it. So for each, so you said, which ones would I go to? 3, I'm going to, like, I think Pat said 3 or 4, maybe it needs to be 5, right? 5, I think, is where I'm going to say 5 is where you top out and enter overwhelm. So let's just go with roughly 5. And remember, we said if you hit 6 and you put 6% in each of them, you'll get 121% increase, right? So if they did 500 grand, you'd find them 500,000, which frankly is a little bit too much, right? Be a little bit of a disconnect. So anyways, I would just make sure the ones that I went to, I would create stories, and then you do bundling, right? Create a story around bundling, cut costs, how we negotiated. We went to, one gal, she owned a hair salon. Here's a story around cutting costs. We're working with one client a hair salon. She was a client, and we went through her books and we realized that she had 5 different suppliers, where she was getting shampoo, conditioner, gel, wax, yada, 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 for the retail space, etc. Well, when you got 5 suppliers, guess what? You got 5 deliveries, you got 5 relationships, you got 5, when you get the delivery, what do you got to do? You got to bang down the box. You got to answer you got to take the order and fart around. You got to bang down the boxes and throw them out the back. So, and then you're buying, if you've got 5 suppliers, you're not really supporting anybody, and you're not buying in bulk from any one person, right? So decide which one's the best, rule out the 4, we started buying in bulk. We showed loyalty to somebody. We got all kinds of, seconds and samples and freebies and that sort of stuff because we were really supporting them. She only had one phone call to take, one order to make, one delivery, one lot of boxes, one invoice to pay, one invoice to get, one email to get. And it was just significantly streamlined only that one very small part of her business. Oh, and by the way, when she bought, because she was buying in bulk, she started getting a 5% discount. And we negotiated that if she paid up front, she got an extra 2.5% discount. So now she was getting a 7.5% discount on that one order and made her life significantly easier. Do you see how that would help Lucy? Right? Boom. We go through. And again, you see how that story works, Mark?
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So boom. So all I'm doing is I'm going through the sections and create a story for each of them. And then you use the story and then they're like, oh, wow, for sure. And part of that is I said, I know exactly, you know what I mean? Again, the market dominating position, I got a really good sense as to exactly what that's going to be for you. Holy smokes, are we going to knock it out of the park when we get that implemented? And I don't tell her, and then I just go to the next section. Right? So there we go, Mark. What do you think, buddy? All good?
Brilliant. I think my big takeaway is 3 to 5 is the sweet spot. I love it. I think that makes a lot of sense. Save maybe increase prices and cut costs for after I close them, because that can be a quick win within the first 60, 90 days.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Totally agree with that. Yep.
And then the stories make way too much sense. So great takeaway. I'm going to have a great story for each of the impact areas.
You beauty. Good stuff, man. Okay, cool. We're going to put you back on mute.
Yeah. And
you started. Go, Pat.
Well, the 100K training is going to give some additional ideas into, to help us with those stories. And that's getting posted now. The videos are all done, so they're getting posted. But another thing here, just looking at basic financials, and I know this is a bit too clean and simple, but current revenue, $1 million. You find a 20% impact there. It's 200,000. 50% gross profit margin. So the impact is 100,000. You can, so if you're looking around 20% impact overall, you can get there. If you're only doing a 10K challenge, then you're only needing about 2% to get there. So literally in one area, 3%, you've done 10K. So it's pretty quick to get there. You just have to play around with it, because if you're going to do a $500,000 company or a $400,000 company, it just helps to kind of know your numbers a little bit to know how quick does it take to get there. So
love it. And again, guys, all this just practice, right? I know some of you, it sounds a little bit confusing, and others are thinking, oh my God, let me add them. Just bottom line, it's just practice. Gets so much easier. Dan Cochran, we're coming for you, buddy. You are self-muted, my friend. From memory on there he is. Dan, you're live.
Hey, Carl. How you doing, buddy?
Fabulous, man. What's happening?
Good. Hey, quick question. The roadmaps and the comps and those results that were new. So I'm really digging them. So like on the roadmaps, do we have the ability to have like a library of roadmaps that are like completed roadmaps, but have like removed all the information related to specific companies that we would be able to show to prospects, usually by vertical? And the same would be true for those comps and results that you guys added. That's really cool, where you can go and show all the money and everything that's been saved. If we had, let's just say across the nation, we had 300 coaches out there, let's say, and we had 500 results, it would be wonderful if those results would come up by vertical and so on and so forth, so that they're already in our dashboard. We don't have to go create them ourselves for prospects.
Yeah, Pat, can I hear you, Dan, but here's one of the challenges. What if I go and put together a roadmap and it's completely, like say I see Pat's screen here, he's got 20% and I do 20% across the board, right? That's going to skew the results ridiculously. And there's a debate as to whether or not I've actually gone and done the homework. Like I might have just made like a messy report, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm with you, Carl. I'm not saying to execute on, but to show them that these are the types of things that you would receive as part of the engagement. You would get a roadmap that would look something like this, and it would be like for their vertical. So they're sitting there looking at a roadmap that is relatively successful in their exact vertical, like the cleaning and stuff like that. And then the same would be true for the comp results that you guys did, which I think is really awesome. When everybody put theirs into the system, if we then, let's just say you got a brand new person, which is really me, a brand new person coming on board that is sitting with a prospect, if I could go in and show that across let's just call it the agency, if you will, there's been 300 cleaning companies done, and here's how much money we've saved, and blah, 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 blah. That would be pretty powerful, like right out of the gate, I would think.
Yeah. Pat, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, we've already talked about, like here in strategies, I was just looking at these previously, and the idea behind the strategies was we've got some ideas of kind of things we'll do for clients. You never show, like if you're meeting with a daycare, you never show them the daycare strategy guide. You take them to a dental, because the idea is if they see their strategy guide for their vertical, they're going to discount a lot of what you say, and they'll just say, well, that won't work for me, or that won't work for me. But if you show them something like from a dentist, and you say, we'll build this for your vertical or for your business, then they'll be in it with you, and they'll work with you in it.
No, I get it, and I agree with that. The only thing I'm really saying is that if they're buying results, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you guys say all the time. At the end of the day, right, when people join the gym, right, they join the gym expecting the results all the way at the end already, right? And so I'm just trying to find a way to show them the results. So when we give them our spiel, they see that, well, wait a minute, there's been 300 other companies that have gotten these results in my vertical. I'm not going to show them exactly what we did for other people so they can try to go do it themselves. I just want them to feel confident that within the system that we have, there's already been 300 cleaning companies that have achieved these kinds of results in our process. That's kind of
Yeah, I hear that. I think that'd be a nice feature to have if we're setting up a company here and we go, what's the vertical are we in? We don't have that now, and then it goes into a database without the company's actual name information. Maybe it's code. And then at that point, we could gather data that says, hey, these are the results that have happened for this type of business. I could see the value in it. Obviously, that database will take a while to build with the coaches, but a year later, it might be of value.
Yeah, so I hear you, Dan.
It's one of those, trying to take down one of the objections that's in their head.
Yeah. So, and I would say that. So, yeah, look, this is, Dan, totally. Case in point. I see a couple challenges with it. At the same time, I see some unbelievable opportunities. But I will tell you, have you seen the results analysis, Dan?
I have, but it's been a couple of weeks because I've been running around.
Okay, so have a look at this. Very similar reason we created exactly this. So everybody can just have a look at this. We created this result. In fact, and I apologize, guys. I know we've done it for the last couple of sessions, but I think it's that important. Pat, can you just kind of explain just what we're looking at here, if you don't mind?
So what we've done is, you just saw me do this in the dates here. I put, the dates from September 1st to October 20th. I get 4 companies here. I see this is name 3, so we're going to fix that bug. It's nice to do more than 3 because then you find bugs. And then for each of these, you can see that, hang on a sec, let me get rid of that. There we go. So here we just say company 1, 2, 3, 4, because we want to protect the identity of that company because of our client confidentiality. And it shows the starting revenue for those companies, the revenue increase that we found them, that as a percent. Again, starting profit increase as a percent. And here's the average increase as a percent that we got for our companies in that time frame. and increase in profit as a percent there, and the average increase in profit. So it comes here in this bigger chart, this green chart as well. And then it lays it out on a timeline. So that first, the light blue line is their original numbers. The dark blue is what we've found them in revenue. The light green is profit. The dark green is profit. And there's our little coaching fee on the end, which will be different according to how much money we're charging for each of those companies. So we wanted to have this as a tool that you could show clients to say, it's actually a little bit better than what you're talking about. Oh, maybe it's not, I'm not sure better, but instead of saying, here's the kind of results that our coaches, the coaches I work with have got for, businesses just like yours, you can say, these are my results I've got in the last 6 weeks for clients.
No, I think that's awesome. So here's a piece that I think that I'm missing. So company 1 through company 4, if I'm starting day 1, I don't have any of those, or I do have those?
You don't have any, but what you do and what you want to do in your practicing, like this is what we recommend, is you're going to practice it, to partner, spouse, whatever, to the bathroom wall, whatever you need to do. And then you go and call up 3 or 4 friends who have businesses, small businesses, large businesses, doesn't matter, and say, look, I've got some software. Let me book a time this week. I'd like to spend an hour with you. I want to run this software through you. Hopefully I'm going to find you $50,000 to $100,000 of additional increased revenue for your business. But I just need to do it to practice. Can I get out there and practice with you and, buy you coffee or whatever? And so then within a week, you've got 3 or 4 that.
So I'm digging it. Don't get me wrong. I'm digging it. I'm just thinking from my perspective, if I had my druthers and I had exactly what you're showing me here, and I had all these companies, right, that I don't know who they are, and we were able to do it by vertical. And then let's just say, for the sake of discussion, if I had let's just say the agent, right, the coach. So like there's that one coach that I see in the membership where I think they do car washes or something, right, or detailers or something like that. So if I found a detailer in my patch and I went in here and their results, right, the customer wouldn't see that it was them, but we'd see their results based on the vertical, and it was a detailer. I could then reach out to Bob, right, the guy who's got the most experience for the detailers, and I could bring them into the deal and joint venture with them and help a customer do like 1,000 times better than if I've never done it before, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's kind of where my head is. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying. I can see the value.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Carl.
Sorry, Pat. But yeah, Dan, another thing, your membership site, you open that up and take them to the resource library and you get 125 different categories of business. Again, that's another tool that you've got in your back pocket that complemented with this should achieve what we're trying to achieve here and more, I'd say.
Well, I agree. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that doing it, asking what I'm asking is keeping anybody from getting any business. No way, not at all. I'm just thinking that from my perspective, if I ran into a car detailer, and we know that the one gentleman he does a lot of detailing companies, I would much rather have him help me be successful if I knew who they were than me just going in and trying to start from scratch. That's all. Because remember, like you talk about tactics, getting people up and running quickly within the first 90 days. In my crazy head, I guess, I'm thinking that if I ran into a car detailer, the best way I could get these folks fired up for the first 90 days would be with the folks in the program that's already doing detailing, and I could like partner with them, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, but just rest your mind at ease that the way you get a car detailer going is the 12 areas, and the same way you get but I know you know this, right? So we're not pushing back. We totally get it, but I tell you, where you're going to find the impact is in the 12 areas that you've already got in your software. So
yes,
keep
sir.
that in.
And I agree. Yep, it was just an idea.
But good point. No, that's cool. That's why we're doing this, man. Back and forth. But that's cool. Appreciate it, Dan. Great feedback.
All right, thanks,
man.
buddy. Hey, thanks.
Oh, what's that?
I said thanks for your flexibility.
Oh yeah, cool, man. No worries, buddy. Putting them back on mute. Okay, Daniel.
Yeah, Carl, I like the idea. I think if we can, we can discuss it maybe with William and Adrian and that, and to see if there's a future for it and how that would work. And the some of the problems, and problems aren't insurmountable, but people start thinking, well, my vertical is not in there. And
Yeah.
have, several hundred coaches doing the software and filling out the verticals. I mean, it might take 2 or 3 years to do it, but I mean, if we're going to do it, you got to start somewhere. It just might not be a valuable tool for 3 or 4 years.
But I do think we just created this results analysis, and I'd encourage Dan and everybody else listening, like this little bad boy was designed for almost the exact reason that Dan outlined. So that's kind of where we'd go. But anyway, Daniel, we're coming for you, buddy. You're muted.
Cool.
There he is. You're live.
Hey guys. Hey Pat. Hey Carl.
Hey.
So I went through the training on editing the report. Loved it. Got some great ideas from that. Thank you, Pat. One question: when you saved it as a template, my question is, as I have new clients doing new assessments, how would I actually? I mean, would I essentially have to cut and paste all the tables and the text into that template, or I'm trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So let me go there, and I'll just find one here. Let's pull up a report, and let me see here. I'll just scroll down through this, I guess. So this is up on the screen now. So what you'll do, you create a template, correct? And then some things you're going to want to change.
Sure.
So what you might do on your template is just highlight, who is for XYZ Daycare and the date and the attention Susie. Those are the kind of things you're going to just highlight and put them in yellow, maybe highlight in yellow. And then you scroll down and you figure out, okay, where's the next instance of XYZ Daycare, or I think that's the name of my company then, XYZ. So you find out where XYZ Daycare is, or Susie. Here, there's another one. So you're going to highlight that in yellow. And all these things down below then, all these areas of breakthrough here, in the template, you've got all 12 areas or all 40 areas developed. And then hey, it's like, hey, I didn't do cut costs for this. So you're just going to delete that whole section. You did market dominating position. In your template, you're just going to go in and change these numbers, the 4. You're going to change 4 to whatever it is, change that to whatever it is, and you just have to refer back and forth to it.
Okay.
So yeah, literally when you're editing that report, you could probably do it in 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes max, but you'll come back here. I think I've got you instructions to edit. I think this might be, of course, a challenge, but what you can do on this is just do a screen capture, and then take that and dump it into the report as an image file.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Same with something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could, Carl and I were talking about doing roadmaps today and how we really want to keep developing these. And it is big on our priority list. We want to just really make these better and better as we go. But we've got so much on our list already. It's like, oh man, we do that first, or Carl, you can go ahead.
And I'll tell you too, the report is such a great tool that even if I have to go in and manually do it each time, it's totally worth it. So I was just wondering what your take was on how to make those changes. So thank you, that's helpful.
Yeah, so save it as a template, and then when you've got a new company, save that template again as a different file in the company name. And you want to go through and just make sure all these things in here in your template, double check it, triple check it, and make sure everything is highlighted that in yellow that you want to go and change. And then just you're going through, and whatever it is, 12, 16 pages, you go through, and of course you don't need the appendix notes, but you go through and just change it up, and you've got it. It might be 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but the more you do, the quicker it gets. You might have it down to 10 or 15.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, buddy, we're going to put you, you're already on mute. Linda Lewis has a question. Linda, you're self-muted. Linda. You know that commercial? Oh, there she is. Linda, you're live.
Yeah, there's a really bad YouTube video about Linda.
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Anyways, we won't go there right now.
Now I have to.
Linda. You never seen it,
Yeah.
Pat?
No, I have
There's
not.
a little.
Oh, goodness. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Linda, I'm sure you've seen it. You've had it sent to you 200 times, correct?
I have.
All right, Linda, what's your question for us?
Okay, so I think I just learned something new, which is not uncommon when I'm on these calls. I have only gone through profit acceleration software a couple times with people, and I thought that the priorities section that comes out of PAS was also the sort of the roadmap of what we should work on first with people once they say yes and we're working with them. But what I'm hearing you say today is that is not necessarily the case, because I thought we were going to market dominating position with the ones that I did, because that really was a rather significant increase in their revenue if they had that.
Right.
But it also might take longer to get
Correct.
that market dominating position figured out. So if you can expand on that whole concept, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, after you do the jump start and you find the breakthroughs and you close them on a sale or close them into the full assessment, the deep dive, the Breakthrough 40, you're going to go through those areas in detail, and you're going to come up with 12 or 18 things to do. And then you use the priorities tab to figure out what to do first. Now, we've got cut costs is defaulting at the top, because that is just the easiest way. Let's just figure that out, put some money in their pocket today. But then we have an X factor under market dominating position, because like you look at a 4% impact here, and it gives a priority of 1200. It's a 3 or 400 or 3 or 4X factor on there, because all things being equal, you want to do market dominating first, not market dominating position first, because it's really the foundation of all your marketing. So before you go out and try and get leads, let's figure out your market dominating position first. All these things. So yeah, all things being equal, like yeah, go and help them cut costs. You might do that in one session, and you say, look, we're going to do that this week. Next week, we're going to start into your market dominating position. It's going to take 1 month, 2 months. As we go forward, we're going to change this to a number of weeks. So we're going to even refine it better for everyone. But maybe it's going to take a couple months, and you can see now the priority. It's still number one, even though it takes 2 months. So yeah, I would do that first, and I would follow the order. But in reality, like here now, it puts it on an implementation calendar. In reality, you might be doing several things at once. If you're not sure what to do, I would follow the order and just go step by step. If you've got a good sense of how to help them in different areas, you might come up with market dominating position and let's work on that compelling offer at the same time, something like that as well. So yeah, you could even layer your tactics one on top of the other at the same time. Carl, you want to add to that?
Yeah, just the way that I would explain this, you want to get a little bit tactical. You just got to, the bottom line, Linda, your job is to keep your client happy, and you know what I mean, like put runs on the board. So exactly what Pat said, market dominating position is the foundation of pretty much everything they're going to do moving forward. But that being said, it's not always the easiest thing, and the first idea you come up with might not be your magical idea. So getting a little bit tactical and going with the basic stuff first to put a couple runs on the board, make them feel good about, the relationship and where you're going, and just putting money in the bank. And those are the basics, cut costs, raise prices, cross-sell I talked about early, upsell, downsell, cross-sell, creating an upfront offer that blows people away. And then Linda, just use our example. You say change your offer, change your life is something I've often said. So as an example, the offer that we have is how I got into your office today is that I was going to find you 100 grand in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. You know, when we create that with and for you, we're really going to change your existence, right? They go, oh yeah, you sign them up and now you start working towards what that offer is going to be. So does that make sense, Linda? Does that help fill in the blanks?
Yeah, that helps some. I guess my takeaway from that is certainly it depends on what the client's needs are. We want to get to that market dominating position as soon as we can, but we might need to get some wins on the board beforehand.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a great
Let
way
me
of-
word it differently, Linda. Progress equals happiness. Those 3 words, incredibly powerful. You want to get them a little bit of progress so that they feel good. You get little wins, little wins, little wins. And this is where the big wins come from. So yeah, I just reinforced what you just said. Little wins and then go to the bigger stuff.
So another question kind of related to that, is there a tactic that you have for helping them identify what their customers' hot buttons are?
Is there, sorry, Pat, can you repeat that, Linda? What about the hot buttons?
Do you have a tactics for helping them figure out what those hot buttons are?
Oh, yeah, survey their clients, ask them. And normally, I think I just said it here earlier, if you go to the daycare, they're going to assume, like, everyone thinks it's price. Why do they think it's price? Because somebody calls and they say how much, and they tell them, right? And then it's like, you know, my clients buy on price. It's like, you know, call us and try ask our prices. The chances are less than 0 of you getting them. Why? Because there's a process we follow. Until you've watched our video, there's just no way that you're going to agree to $1,000 a month, right? So that's how you got to go to your clients and ask them. And again, their instincts are, there's a good chance they're wrong. And they're just going to the first thing. And what does mom say? You know, like she's in the morning, she's rush, drops her kids off. You know, it's all about location, location, location. We totally get it. But when it comes down to it and the buying decision and having a sales process, being able to put in front, imagine, you know, accountability has got to be your biggest hot button. Here we've got the web watch where you can, you know, log on at any time throughout the day and see little Johnny. And by the way, you're just missing them wildly. Imagine being able to watch your kids interact with others when you're not there, so you can just kind of, you know, witness your kid playing with other kids during the day. How cool would that be? Like,
so
oh my gosh.
That straightforward question of what's your hot button? What's most important to you? That's the only question that they need to go with in the survey?
No, there would be again, you'd warm them up a little bit. Are you on my email list?
Yes, I am now.
So I sent out an email just like literally last week, which by the way, I didn't really go here, but I can tell you that the answers gave me an insane amount of insight as to what people are looking for and thinking. So no, I would go a little bit, but it's just Google customer survey. I'm sure I've got that on your membership site. They'll be like, if you search customer survey on your e-learning system, you'd be amazed if it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah, and if it's not there, I've got intellectual property around it for sure, so I can send that to you. So no, a little more comprehensive than, hey, what's most important? Because you kind of got to butter them up a little bit. Sometimes you got to ask the same question a few different ways.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that help? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'm just looking in market dominating position action steps, and here's some dive through with research on the competition. There's a few questions you could ask, and it might help you develop their hot button.
Yeah, actually, I should have said exactly this, Linda. Here's your step-by-step. Here's how you create a market dominating position for your client, and it's step-by-step here.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
All right, so you find that if you found them a breakthrough and you're in the market you found them a breakthrough, it's in priorities, you've given them a time to implement. The first 12 months of implementation will show up here. So then just click on this link. These are your implementation links. So click there, and these are your different areas to go and find how to help them do things. So, first thing you're going to do is review the results. It's like, hey, this is what we talked about. These are just examples here. Like, we found you 5%. This is, we should find you an extra $50,000, $40,000. So let's just make sure we understand what this market dominating position is, why it's so important. It gives you a script to read. They go, okay, you can handle this in 5-10 minutes. We'll talk around that. And he's like, literally, next step, we've got to do some research. We can't possibly help you get a market dominating position unless we know what your competitors are offering, and right there, and how they communicate that offer to their client, to the public. So we need to go and do this. And so you give it to the client to do, have them bring it out, put it in a spreadsheet. If they're too busy, they can hire a college kid or, someone off of, whatever, just put a, opportunity job or something that someone can go and help them do that and get a spreadsheet of these answers at least. And then you might as well come and do your own research around that. And you'd probably use your e-learning center, and I'd go into USP library in the e-learning center and see what the possibilities are for that type of business. But once they do that, then what you're going to do is you're going to brainstorm things. And, there's like a template you can use to brainstorm things. And then you go through the other areas and how to implement this.
Yeah. And you test it. Linda, you see the next step there is test. So there you go. So there you go, Linda. Does that help?
Yes, that's great. Great. Okay, thank you.
Okie dokie, no worries. And Pat, apologies. I need to bolt here, buddy, but I think we've handled, what, we've got Dave here. Dave, you're gonna be, Dave, you got your hand up.
Dave might be the last because I come too.
Yep. Can you be quick, buddy? What's your question, my man?
I sure will be quick. So one of the things you said earlier, Patrick, was rather than leading into the monthly coaching fee, lead them into the Breakthrough 40 and charge them like $3-4 grand.
That's what I've done in the past, and I've done that every time. And the reason is I really want to find out more about them. I don't want to be desperate to get clients. I want to come across as I reserve the right to hire you if I want to. And I tell you, if you sit down with a business owner for half a day rather than 45 minutes, you're going to find out a lot about him and maybe how he interacts with his staff or different things. You're going to find out if this business is a setup or a screw up. Setup is you can blow on them and they're going to grow. Screw up is you can help them all day long. They're never going to grow, or the guy's an idiot, whatever. You don't want those people. So I would do a full assessment if you can. Just my way of doing things. Some people do it as part of their coaching, but I'd like to do a full assessment. I want to know exactly what I'm getting into with this client over the next year before I agree to take them. I'd rather know that ahead of signing a 12-month contract. So that's what I would do. And then I know this is going to be 12 months, or we can accomplish this in 9 months. We don't need 12 months, or look, this is going to take 18 months, but let's set a 12-month agreement. I want to know that ahead of time. And if you do a deep dive, you're going to know all kinds of things about them.
And actually, Pat, and I would do it differently. And that's just, there's about 1 million. There's, Pat, me, and there's 90 other ways to do this, but I would close them at $2 grand a month, because my take is that, because if I do the deep dive, like, what would you charge for that, Pat? Like $4 grand, did you say, roughly?
I'd be a minimum $2 grand, yeah. But some people
$2 to $5 grand, let's just say, for the sake of the argument, to do a deep dive. It'll take you a number of hours. And I just, again, at that point of, look, they're salivating. I just go, look, it's going to be $2 grand a month, and I just want to have them ongoing. And then I would do the deep dive at my quarterly review, right? But the bottom line, the goal should be to sign them up as a monthly ongoing client, because the lifetime value of that client is going to be significantly greater than, anything that has a stop date. So, but there's different ways of doing it. You know what I mean? And Pat,
so Patrick, back to you. What percentage of people who pay the $2 to $4 grand go ahead with the monthly?
Well, until like I haven't done this for now a couple of years because I don't take clients now. But it was at least 80, 85%, 90.
Yeah, exactly. So
it was quite strong because you're showing them, you're the one asking all the questions. You're the
Right.
one, you're showing, I mean, these questions are all expert building devices. So you're showing your brilliance for 5-6 hours straight.
right.
And then you're showing them the money and how to get it. So
Yeah.
yeah, your close rate's going to be pretty high.
Yeah, I like what you said earlier about rather than doing the 6-7 hours, splitting it into 2 half days, because some people's attention span doesn't hold well in a whole day thing.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Pretty exhausting.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Patrick. Carl.
Yeah, well,
Cool. And Pat, if I may, but again, I don't, you guys understand that Pat's got a couple of decades of experience and an insane amount of, he's got the runs on the board times a million. So his positioning is very different where he doesn't want to just take everybody on, right? He's not, out there, most other coaches, like we're trying to get to 100, 150 grand a year. And then you start calling your shots kind of thing. So I just encourage you guys to think about that approach. But at the end of the day, you got to pick the approach that works for you and go. But you just heard two of them. Sound good?
Good point, Carl.
Dave,
Awesome.
does that help,
Thanks,
Dave?
Yeah, it sure does.
Awesome. Okay, Pat, anything before we get going here, bud? Anything to close out?
well, I hope we're going to have a good announcement on Ask the Expert call tomorrow. If William gets his job done the next day or two, we're going to have a great update, a capital, all caps, great update on the software tomorrow, which we have not really let the cat out of the bag on this one. So show up with the Ask the Expert call, and we hope we can, if all things go well, we're going to release it.
There we go. And we all know Patrick is a very understated man. So when he says how excited he is and how excited you are going to be, you should know that you're going to be excited. So there we go, buddy. We always appreciate you, Pat. On behalf of all the folks, you're a legend, man. And for all of you that showed up and gave us your questions and played full out, of course, we appreciate you. There's a few questions here, and I apologize we're not going to get to, but we'll just come on Thursday if you could, and we'll handle them then. Okay, folks? Appreciate you guys, and we'll speak to you later.